I just felt like that I had struggled with depression for a long time. Felt sad for a long time. I think as I went along and I got older, particularly as I got married, it just seemed like life got harder. The demands began to increase, and as we had children, it just seemed that I had less and less energy, and my work was suffering. There were things that I didn't really know. It just seemed like things got harder and harder. And then about 2 years ago, there was a real tragedy in my life where a person that was really close to me, it was like a second mother, she and her daughter were murdered, tragically murdered. And that episode, that traumatic episode, triggered me into kind of this big slide. And I found myself beginning to isolate. I really found that I was less and less able to uh, work. I could get very little done in a day. And, I'd taken medication at various times through the year, certainly for ADD. And a couple of years before this tragic episode, these murders, I'd begun to take some medication for depression. And it would work for a little while, but then eventually get to a point to where the side effects were almost as bad as what they were trying to treat. And so that was very discouraging, but I just kind of put up with that, thinking that, that's as good as it's going to get. Then we might try another medication, and I'd try different ones, and sometimes the side effects were so bad that I couldn't do it, and we'd find something that I could tolerate. And, it was maybe 10% better side effects. I just thought, that's just the way that it is. And so then somebody talked to me, or actually my wife and I, about Dr. Cress, someone that we really respected, and that there had been a lot of changes. So I went to see her. She asked me so many questions. I never had anybody ask me so many questions. But I got a real sense that she cared about me. It was like she was so focused on me, and my wife was with me as well. She was so present, so focused. I felt like somebody really cared about me, and that was very moving, though I kind of pushed back because she was asking me so many questions, and I wasn't necessarily used to that. But then I came back a second time. Actually, the first treatment, she said, I don't feel like I know enough. I think you have to come back, and I had never had anybody. Most psychiatrists, with them 15 minutes, and okay, she wasn't like that. It was like over an hour. She said, I want to get this. I'm going to get some labs from you. I want to find out, from your past doctors. I want to get your file, asking me all kinds of questions. I want to know what you've been on. And it really was, I want to study you. It's like she wanted to study me to see what was going to be best for me. She wrote me a script the next time. She said, I want to work with you. And she got on top of my meds. She began to tweak them, which I'd never experienced with any other psychiatrist before. It was like I had somebody in my corner that was walking with me and helping me move along towards solutions. And so while she got me on some things that were better medication, I just didn't seem to improve as much as I felt like I could. And then she told me about TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. And I hadn't heard anything about that before. She talked about it. And so I didn't really consider it till a couple of months later, where I just got worse and worse and worse. And I really kind of got to the point where I said, I am willing to do whatever. I'll do whatever I need to do to get better. And I trusted her. I'd really grown to trust her. My wife was supporting me. So I came in, began the treatments, kind of different, a little bit of a novel feeling, how you get in the chair and they put magnets up and all that. But I said it was FDA approved. It's approved by the government, so I felt good about that. There was some research to back that up. I began the treatments, was there for 6 weeks, actually 7 weeks. And about the third week, something began to come alive in me. I had creative thoughts for the first time, and I don't know how long it had been. And I began to reemerge. In fact, my wife said to me, probably about the fourth weekend, she said, I'm beginning to get my husband back. And actually now, on the other side of the treatment for some period of time, about 2 months, I'm actually functioning more higher than I ever have in my entire life. My parents have seen it. My wife certainly has seen it. I now run 2 companies. and I'm able to do the things I'm able to do because of TMS. It's been such a huge gift to me, to my marriage. My marriage was suffering because depression has impacted everybody in my life. My children, I have 5 children. So what it's meant for me and my relationships is hard to describe. And the TMS has transformed my life, but particularly connecting with Dr. Cress. I am so grateful for her. And so whoever's watching this, don't put up with just barely getting by. If you've had a lot of side effects from medication, particularly, and sometimes you just want to, well, I guess this is good. This is as good as it's going to get. No, it can get a lot better. And I encourage you to look into TMS, to call Dr. Cress's office, and to come and just look into it. Just get information and see if TMS is for you.